Pokemon Go is a game of chores. Niantic, over the years, have taken out a lot of the spontaneous, exciting things about Pokemon Go and made it about a daily grind. And I do think this is a problem that they need to address. And that's precisely what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Alright, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So today is going to be a discussion video where I'm going to be talking about something a little bit more subjective, and I want to talk about how Pokemon Go is right now as a game. When it comes to the gameplay loop, it's essentially a game where you just log in every day, complete a bunch of daily tasks, and then you're essentially left with nothing. There's really not much to Pokemon Go right now, and I feel like this is a huge problem. Aside from FOMO mechanics that they always add with every single in-game event, it doesn't feel like there's anything truly exciting about Pokemon Go like it once was. I think back in the day, there was definitely a lot of different RNG mechanics and a lot of different spontaneous, exciting moments that definitely kept the game going. But I feel like a lot of that stuff is no longer really that relevant. I think when it comes to raid battles and a whole bunch of other content, it doesn't necessarily feel like you're going to get something exciting or something interesting every day. So I do think this is a big problem, and I do think this is something we need to address because Pokemon Go is essentially in a much better place than it was just a couple of years ago. Niantic has added so many things to this game to make it a lot better, and I really do think in order to keep up that momentum, they need to change up the daily gameplay because as of right now, it just feels like such a grindy game with just daily activities that are just mostly just chores. And I think this is something that you do see a lot of other games fall into. I think in order to keep up with player engagement, they always add like daily tasks that are kind of mundane, and their whole purpose is to just get players to log in every single day so they do not miss out on anything. And you definitely see that in Pokemon Go. There's just a lot of daily streak mechanics, for example. There's a lot of different things where it involves you just having to go into Pokemon Go every single day just to complete some menial task, just to keep up with the streaks, and I think that is a huge problem. That is not necessarily good game design in my opinion. I mean, I do have a background in game development. Maybe about 10-20 years ago, I was actually part of a game studio, and I think these are some of the things that we did talk about because at the time we were starting to dabble with mobile gaming. We did release a couple of mobile games while I was working there, and the daily engagement was something that always came up, and some of the things that we always talked about was creating maybe like daily login rewards, maybe it was some sort of daily task that would get players to log in every single day. So those mechanics are always going to be a part of mobile games. That's always going to be a given, but I feel like with those daily tasks, that's where they need to get creative because as of right now, it's essentially a game where you log in every day, you catch a Pokemon, you spin a Pokestop, and then maybe you'll complete one field research, and then you'll do a bunch of stuff related to the Go Pass. And it just feels so mundane, it feels so repetitive, and there's nothing really exciting in between the lines. And I think this is something that Niantic needs to work on because I feel like in order to play Pokemon Go the most efficiently, you just basically have to get into a routine. There's just no spontaneity, there's no excitement, and if you miss out on that routine, you're going to be punished for it. And I overall think this is just a style of gameplay that is just not enjoyable, at least for myself. And I certainly see this with a lot of other players, especially on social media. It just feels like every day is just the same thing, and there's nothing exciting and there's nothing to look forward to, and I think that is a huge problem. Now, what are some of the things that Pokemon Go could do? What are some of the things that Niantic could implement in order to make Pokemon Go more exciting and more spontaneous? Well, I think they need to take a look back at what made Pokemon Go so spontaneous. Back in the day, it was all about raiding. I mean, yes, you could potentially get yourself a shiny, you could potentially get yourself a hundo, maybe even a shundo if you're super lucky. That sort of aspect of the game was definitely what drove a lot of players to do a whole bunch of raids. It drove a lot of players to continue to meet up with their friends in order to complete as many legendary raids as possible, and there was definitely an element to it where people were really excited to play the game. They just did not know what they could expect, and I think that level of the gameplay is what drove a lot of players to be really excited about it and what drove Pokemon Go to become so popular. I think spontaneity, that is something they should look into. Another thing is, of course, wild spawns. Every time you play Pokemon Go, you kind of expect what to see in the game world. There's nothing really exciting or special about going out and finding Pokemon. I think it's kind of ironic because they put such a strong emphasis on exploration, outdoor-based play, and yet they kind of removed a lot of the things that made exploration so exciting. They basically had it so that the same Pokemon spawns are always going to appear. There's no, I feel like it's so rare that you ever come across a moment where you would come across a Lapras or a Dragonite in the wild. That was something that was really special about back in the day. Like, there were certain Pokemon that were extremely rare. If you ever came across one, it was basically like the moment of the day. And it was always, rare enough where it was not going to happen to you every day, but it was also common enough where you could see those sort of things. And I don't know, it just felt like it was such a better game back then just because of that level of spontaneous moments, and I really feel like that was all gone from Pokemon Go for the longest time. And yes, the whole raid mechanics that I was mentioning earlier, that is still a part of the game, of course. You could go out and raid right now, you could possibly get yourself a Shundo, and that'll definitely inject a lot of excitement into your Pokemon Go gameplay, but it's incredibly rare for that to ever happen. I think out of the thousands of raids that I've ever done, I've only gotten one Shundo out of raids. It was a Necrozma, so it was definitely a meaningful one, but I don't think I ever count on getting a Shundo from raid battles. That doesn't stop me from doing raids, of course, because raid battles are a great source of Stardust, experience, as well as rare candies, so there's always an incentive to go out and raid, even if the raid boss is not relevant, but I feel like they need to do more and get less of the grindy aspects of the game out. I think the Go Pass has a lot of potential. There's certainly a lot of cool things that they're doing with the Go Pass every single time. They're definitely iterating on it and improving it, but it does feel like it's another form of just daily grindy gameplay because you need to maximize the amount of points you're going to get. So you're just going to be doing mundane things in order to maximize all of those points. And they could do a lot more. I honestly think they could do a lot more. I think there's a lot of potential with like Buddy Adventure, for example, or maybe they could do something with, I don't know, maybe like, this is something that I've thought about in the past, but maybe they could have something where it's going to be kind of like a takeover, like a mini event that happens very rarely, like over certain areas. Like back in the day, nests were a big thing. Now you could have maybe something like, I don't know, you could go to a local park and all of a sudden there's a takeover of a certain Pokemon that are not part of the wild spawn rotation. Something like that, where you're going to be like, hey, this is a nice surprise while you're walking around. I don't know, they just need to add something. Maybe they can add rare spawns, like Mighty Pokemon. That was something that was added with Wild Area last year. They didn't really do anything with it. They just had it as part of Wild Area. But I thought that would have been really cool, like something you can encounter in the wild, a Mighty Pokemon. I really do think these are some of the things they need to look into, because Pokemon Go right now, it just feels like a daily grindy game with very little satisfaction. And all the times that I do play the game every single day, it just feels like I'm working towards nothing. So my conclusion is that I think Pokemon Go could be a lot better. Certainly, I think the game is in a much better place than it was maybe like 2 to 3 years ago. They've added a lot of really cool things to the game, like adventure effects, bottle caps, the Go Pass, like I mentioned, that's a really cool thing at the end of the day. There's just a lot of good things that Niantic is doing for Pokemon Go, but I really do think they need to look into the daily gameplay, because it's starting to get very boring, it's starting to get very monotonous, and it's just not fun. Let's be real here. I think if you can get over the FOMO mechanics, if you can get over the idea of missing out on your streak, you're essentially going to quit playing Pokemon Go. I feel like it's very surface level, the reason why players are playing every single day. Certainly there's going to be players out there who are going to have certain goals that they're working towards, so of course they're going to play a lot more than others. I think there's a large subset of players who are going to be farming experience once the new level cap hits, but I do think there's just a lot that leaves players to be desired, and hopefully Niantic could look into that and actually implement some more spontaneous content. I think that would be a huge fix for the game. But in any case, yeah, that's essentially going to be it for this video. I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts, just give some, I don't know, just share my thoughts and opinions on the game as of late. I really am enjoying Pokemon Go. It's just, there are other things with Pokemon Go that I feel like could be improved, and that's really what I wanted to share about. So yeah, share your opinions regarding everything that I talked about down below. Is there something in particular that you would like to see added to Pokemon Go that you feel like would definitely add to the game's daily gameplay? Or do you feel like you completely disagree with me? Do you feel like the game is just amazing and you're having fun every single time you play the game? Definitely share your reasons for thinking that. I would definitely like to know. So yeah, make sure you talk in the comments down below and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and also don't forget that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to every single one of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Content channel, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to personally add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids, the friendship system, opening and sending gifts, different things like that. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see right now on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. That will be a huge help to my channel, and you'll have access to some exclusive content. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.